Hi, this is Wes K from DB Toys, and today we get to open Drax from Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy movie series that builds Groot. We only have 2 figures left till we get to put Groot together, so let's open this bad boy. Alright, Drax was played in the movie by David Batista, better known as just Batista from WWE. Definitely somebody that we weren't really fond of the choice when we heard it, but then again, it's not a character that really has to do much acting, so it wasn't something he could really ruin. Especially when he's already in a movie with Vin Diesel. Alright, so let's just see. Right out of the box, first shot, weighted very well. They did a good job of capturing the likeness of Drax from the movie, as well as doing a pretty good job of capturing Drax from the comic books. Now I know there's definitely some differences between Drax in the comic book and then in the Marvel movie adaptation. Number one being the color green of his skin. It's a lot more muted and more of a gray color in the movie than in the comic book. But again, I guess they figured they don't want to have too many green characters running around. Probably the reason why they changed Ronan's whole outfit also. As you can see, he comes with his 2 daggers. Right now we're going to pop these out of his hands and put them down, and we're going to take a look at our friend Drax over here and see how good of a job Marvel and Hasbro did on the articulation. So, as you can see right now, they did a good job of weighting him. They also did a fairly good job of the holsters for the blades, so they're going to slip in right there, which is always good. It makes it a little easier. That way when you don't want to have them in his hands, you have somewhere to put them and you don't have to worry about losing them. Alright, so on the ankle here, we got the full joint, which is always good. No swivel to the side, which again is going to hinder leg articulation a little bit, but as you can see, they did a good job of getting him weighted. The bottom part of the leg is actually pretty heavy and solid, sturdy, which is going to make it really good to hold him up, especially when you see the size of his upper torso and the arms. This is a figure that has a decent amount of weight. So let's see. Right here they gave us the double knee joint, the preferred joint for the action figures. It's going to give us a lot of posability for our friend Drax over here. It's going to let us move the upper part of the leg and then the under part of the leg, the lower part of the leg, independently. So we're going to get a lot more choices of how we get to pose our friend. Since Drax is somebody that does have some crouching poses, we're going to be able to get them a little bit easier. We also got the swivel up here so that the leg can move to the side without having to have the whole entire hip joint move to the side. Once again, this is going to give us very subtle little things where if we want to have his leg slightly tilted to the side to get a better view of the holstered weapon, we don't have to have our whole figure turned to the side. So once again, this is going to give us more posability on the lower half of this figure, and I am always a fan of more posability than less. We got the waist joint. This seems to be something that Marvel's having a problem with as of late. They're bulking up the waist joint a lot so that when you turn it, it's something you see very, very prominently and clearly. This is not something that they've always done. Hopefully, this is something that they fix. In the scheme of things, it's not a major flaw. It's just something I'd rather see them find a way to do a little bit better so that there's not such a bulky joint when we do want to turn our figure to the side. As you can see, right here you don't see it at all, but when you turn it ever so slightly, there is a pretty big seam of a joint right there, and again, we want to see them kind of hide those. As you can see, they've used the abdomen joint, and if you watched the last couple videos that we did, it was a joint I liked on Nova. It was a joint that Gamora didn't have, and the joint that Gamora did have with the upper torso connecting directly into the lower torso, as they do with the Build-A-Figures, is the preferred joint, especially for somebody once you get to Drax's size. As you can see, he's shaking around a lot, and that's because of this joint right here. It's not a joint that holds up with upper body weight very well. So as soon as you get somebody that's only his size, which is not much bigger than Nova, this joint already starts to fail. Now this is a joint that's supposed to give us posability, and as you can see in the lower position right here, it clicked, it locked, it's sturdy. But when you put it back to its normal position, it doesn't have a good lock where it can actually stay steady. So once again, our friend over time is going to slowly start to droop more and more forward, and eventually that locked position will probably be the best standing position you get him at. So once again, that's the reason that I'm not a fan of this joint on the bigger figures, love it on the smaller guys. As you can see right here, for the wrist, we got the fully articulated wrist that they've been incorporating a lot more into Hasbro's 6-inch line, and it is definitely one of the preferred joints on their action figures. It's going to give us a lot more choice of our posability of the wrist, and this is something that on certain characters is definitely needed for posing. We have the dual articulation on the elbow joint right here, so once again we get to move the lower part of the arm and the upper part of the arm independently, which is going to give us much more control over posing of the upper arm. Now, it does let us see the seams a little bit more than the single elbow joint does, but once again, it's going to give us a lot more choice on how we pose it, especially since the upper bicep is separate from the shoulder. Now, a lot of times when they give us that joint on the elbow, they don't give us this upper joint right here. They just make this all one piece. Again, I am not a fan of that. I always prefer more choices on how to pose my action figures. You can never go wrong with multi-points of articulation. And again, they've given us the bull joint on the shoulder so that we have full range of motion. His arm could be all the way down, could be all the way up, it can go out to the side. Once again, when you're going to give us this many points of articulation on a figure, we're going to pose it a lot more, and there's a lot more chance of us buying this figure again, even if it's just to take them apart and switch and swap pieces and kind of make our own customizing action figures. One thing action figure companies don't seem to understand: if they give us a quality figure, we will buy more of them, we will use them to make our own action figures, which again, in the long run, just equals more money for them. They've given us the full neck joint, so it's got its own little hinge, it's not just sitting on top of a peg, so that Drax is going to get multiple points of articulation. He can look all the way up, he can look all the way down. On a character like this, especially, nice wide leg stand, head all the way up, shoulders out to the side, that's attitude right there. It's something that you can't get with a figure when they don't give us a good quality articulation. Now, Marvel and Hasbro especially have been doing a much better job on the paint schemes. As you can see from here, and we'll get you some close-up shots in a few minutes, they paid a lot of attention to the detail on the arm. It's painted very well, there's not a lot of missed spots, there's not a lot of splotching. Marvel, Hasbro in the last couple of years have done a very good job of improving on their paint. Not only the quality of the paint they use, but actually the quality of the painting, so that it's not just sloppily put on there. Again, the better work and the more work they put into an action figure, the more likely we are to buy it, especially once, if not twice. So, let's get a measurement on our figure here. And Drax is standing at 6.5 inches tall, so he's going to be taller than Gamora, slightly taller than Nova, and he's going to look really good on our shelf. Again, this is the second time now that Hasbro and Marvel have done a very good quality figure that I'm happy with. So Drax is going to get the same score as our friend Nova, and he's going to get an 8.5. They did a good quality job, and like I said, if you want to see some other close-up videos of the hinges, just go to the other video and you'll get to see some more close-ups of the hinges. Once again, this is Wes K from Dax Boy Toys.